Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So continuing on with our video reviews, let's take a look back at our Arabic roadmap just to see where we are. So initially we had studied letters, then we strung letters together to form words, then we put words together into compounds to create fragments, which were initially pretty much sentences that were incomplete. Then we added on a predicate, so something about the subject, to create sentences. And finally, we zoomed back in on words and studied a particular type of word, which was the verb. And we looked at a series of different ones. Then we moved on to sentence modifiers. And once again, a sentence modifier is a particular thing which impacts the grammar and meaning of a sentence, modifying it through the grammar and meaning. Now, the one that we'll study today is known as Ḥarf al-Nidā, right, which is the harf used to get someone's attention. And when you have a Ḥarf al-Nidā, there's essentially three main parts that come into play. The first is the Ḥarf al-Nidā, which is the harf for getting attention, and it usually, in most cases, is going to be a ya. There are other ones that are used, but they are not as common. And so inshallah, we're only going to look at the ya for now, and then later on we'll study the other types. So the munada is the one who is being called. So you have your Ḥarf al-Nidā, which is the harf that is being used to get someone's attention. Then you have the munada, which is the individual whose attention you're trying to get. And then finally you have the maqal, which is what is being said to that individual who you were trying to get their attention. So there's three scenarios that come up, and they all have to do with the munada. So the first scenario, what does it look like when the munada is a single word? It will be rafa' with no tanween. Right, so those two things will apply. It's going to be rafa' and no tanween. So let's take a look at an example. Ya Zaidu idhab. So you notice it's not Zaidun, right? The tanween has been dropped and it becomes Ya Zaidu idhab, which translates to O Zaid, go. So the Ḥarf al-Nidā is usually translated as O, right? That's the way in which you're going to get their attention. And the person who's being spoken to or whose attention is being trying to be gotten is Zaid, and then what is being said to them, the maqal, is go, idhab. So we have our Ḥarf al-Nidā, which is ya, then we have Zaidu, which is our munada, and then finally the maqal, which is idhab. So that's scenario one. When we're dealing with a munada, that is simply a single word. It's going to be in a state of rafa, and it's going to have no tanween. Now scenario two is when munada is an idafa. So in this case, the munada is going to be in a state of nasb, right? Let's take a look at an example. Ya Abdullahil masjidu ba'idun. So Ya Abdullahi al masjidu ba'idun. So this translates to, O Abdullah, the masjid is far. Now, ya in this case, as usual, is going to be a Ḥarf al-Nidā. It is the harf that's being used to get someone's attention. Then we have Abdullahi, which is our munada, and in this case, note that it's in a state of nasb, because we're dealing with a munada that is an idafa, so it will be nasb on the mudaf. And then obviously, al-masjidu ba'idun is the maqal, so what is being said to the person whose attention we're trying to get. And once again, the munada, since it's an idafa, is going to be in a state of nasb. Now the third and final scenario is alif lam on the munada. So when this happens, what will end up occurring is that ayyuha will be inserted before it. Let's take a look at an example. Ya ayyuhan nasu iqra. So this translates to, O people, read. So due to the alif lam on the munada here, ayyuha had to be inserted. So anytime you see alif lam on a munada, know that ayyuha will be inserted. So what's the breakdown look like? Once again, ya is going to be a Ḥarf al-Nidā, the harf that's used for getting someone's attention. Then our munada will be ayyuhan nas altogether, and ayyuha has been added because of the alif lam. And then finally, what is being said, our maqal, is iqra. So those are the three scenarios of Ḥarf al-Nidā, and that is pretty much a quick summary of what we covered. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.